Qui?
That's the sound it makes when there's too much air in there. Let's try this again. I just hit record. Hi, welcome to John Solo's Beer Brigade. This is the Ramblin Gramling show. I'm John Solo. This is little Lissa Gramling. We started recording this and my power flipped and came right back on. Suddenly all the lights in the studio are like at 11 and they're like, blah! But anyways, so we were talking about Gary Furlong and he was going to send in a video clip, but he has a headache. And I suggested that he has a headache because he's Irish. And you said that doesn't make any sense, and you get headaches sometimes, and you're not Irish, and
Only because if it gets too hot, well, I end up getting a very bad migraine, and the only way to get rid of it is to be in a dark room and take a nap.
That makes sense. That must mean your house is haunted.
Yeah, my best friend does show up every once in a while.
That's logic, and that's my Norm Macdonald story. So. It's great. Okay. It makes perfect sense. So Norm Macdonald meets his neighbor for the first time, and he says, "Hey, neighbor, what do you do for a living?" And he says, "I'm a professor of logic at the College of Science." And Norm says, "Wow, logic, what the hell's that?" And he says, "Well, it's kind of hard to explain. Let me see if I can explain it." He said, "Do you have a doghouse?" And Norm says, "Yeah, I got a doghouse." And he said, "Well, that must mean you have a family." And he said, "Yeah, I got a family." And, "Well, you have a family, so it must mean you have children." "Yeah, I have children." He said, "You must have a wife." And he said, "Yeah, I have a wife." "So you're a heterosexual man." And Norm says, "Wow, you're right. That's dead on." He said, "Well, that's logic. By asking if you have a doghouse, I can infer that you're a heterosexual man." So Norm goes to the bus stop later, and he's about to get on the bus stop, and he's standing there and talking to a friend of his, and he said, "I just met my neighbor, and he's a professor of logic at the College of Science," and which it's a very popular college, by the way. So the College of Science, and his neighbor says, "Wow, logic, what the hell's that?" And he said, "Well, it's kind of hard to explain. Let me give you an example. Do you have a doghouse?" And his buddy at the bus stop says, "No, I don't have a doghouse." He said, "Well, you're gay." That's
wah wah. No.
It's logic.
No. All that, just say that.
Yeah, it's logic for you. I love that story. Anyways,
you're the one rambling today.
This is the show where we go over all the new romance audiobook releases of the week. At the end of the show, little Lissa Gramling will let you know what she read or listened to normally. She has a bullet rating system. Goes from 1 to 5 bullets in a bullet breaker. The bullet breaker happens. That means the Amazon truck showed up. They had to put her on life support. The ghost in the room. It's dark. She's got a headache. Yeah, all that. So,
no, that's not what that means, but okay.
Let's get into it here. Our first release was, did I narrate this book?
No.
Whisper, a male Westbrook elite standalone by Cambria Hebert, narrated by Lance West and Lance Isley. And they were a really good brother duo at one point back in the 50s, the Isley brothers.
Yeah, well, yeah, they were.
Yeah.
But no.
It also makes me think of ice cream, and I don't know why. But anyways, next we had
Woods Ranch Books 1 through 3 by A.M. author, narrated by Michael Dean.
Chorizo. Next we had Ascension, the Summoner's Circle, Book 2 by S.T. Gibson, narrated by Oscar Reyes. Reyes or Reyes?
Reyes.
I'm not very good at this. Next.
Neither am I when I'm tired. Adverse Conditions, Reclaimed Hearts, Book 1 by L. Keaton, narrated by Gabriel McKnight.
You're tired. That must mean you're...
I'm not tired.
Anyways, the next was The Courtship of Julian St. Albans, Consulting Magic Book 1 by Amy Crook, narrated by Kaval Shah. I'll tell you, that Crook, she steals things.
You can take the next one.
All right. Villainous All the Way, a Sweet and Spicy Celebrations collection, Villainous Things Standalones by C. Rochelle, narrated by Philip Alces. Is that how you say his name? I've had to say it a couple times now. Nick J. Russo, Gabriel Michael, John Solo, and Maxine Mitchell. This is certainly, you should probably listen to the rest of the books before you do this one. This is kind of the tag on the end where everybody gets their update, and it's a lot of fun, put out by Podium. Yeah, so thank you for that. Next.
The Last Omega in the Galaxy, Scales and Tales of Fate, Book 1 by Lilo Kui.
That's the sound it makes when there's too much air in there.
Narrated by Brandon Utah and John Andrews.
Next, we had Hearts and Halos, Monsters in My Bed, Book 3. We were just talking about this. Lee Eveland, narrated by Simon Dornay and Lance West. You know, with the headache in the dark room and the ghost.
No.
Next.
Anyway, what? Where the pine kisses... Words are hard, and I'm not tired. Where the Pines Kiss the Sky, Love's Journeys, Book 1 by V.L. Loci.
I don't know.
Narrated by Tristan James.
Where the Pines Kiss the Sky. That sounds like something my mother would have said to describe what I needed to wash in the bathtub. Next, we had Lucky or Not, Fortune Favors the Fae by Elliot Grayson, narrated by Chris Chambers. Then we had
Always You, Guardian Hall, Book 1 by R.J. Scott, narrated by Sean Kristen.
That devil man of a voice. He has the... I know. I'm not even... I don't even own a doghouse. Next, we had Loving You, Words We Never Said, Book 4 by E.M. Lindsay, narrated by Kurt Graves. Speaking of E.M. Lindsay, I just finished a Nora Phoenix and E.M. Lindsay book. And
was that at 2 o'clock this morning?
Yeah, it really was. Well, I got it done, but then I had to do all the post and the mastering and everything else. And the kid was over and all that. So, 2 a.m.
Yeah, well, apparently our smoke detectors are beeping periodically throughout the night.
Huh.
So I was having issues sleeping because there's one right at my door.
Have you, you probably can't change the batteries in a smoke detector. You're too short.
No.
Just can't reach them.
And they're hardwired to the house. So since we rent this house, the company that I guess owns the house right now, we got to do a maintenance request. So somebody's got to eventually come out and fix it.
That's interesting.
And it's going to take a while.
We had that happen at the cabin this morning. The cabin where Pat stayed before he died. We had that happen there, and there were like 3 different smoke detectors, all hardwired to the cabin, and so I eventually just took them all out.
Well, we've got one in the hallway, in between bedrooms. There's one in the spare room, one in my room, one in Mom and Toki's room. The one in Mom and Toki's room is the one that started this whole thing. Now the one in the hallway beeps. Not right now, thank goodness. But at like midnight to about 2 is when it likes to start beeping. And will beep continuously until about 10 o'clock in the morning, where it would just stop.
I couldn't live that way. I would have to burn the place down.
So I saw your text this morning about 5:30 and was like, oh dear.
Okay. Yeah. Well, luckily we were able to record later due to your flexible nature.
Yes, because I'm always off on Thursdays.
By the way, next we had...
Yes.
See that transition right there? I'm really good at this. Like Real People Do, Breakaway Book 1 by E.L. Massey, also narrated by Lance West. He's been busy this week. After that, we had...
Give Me a Reason.
Give me one reason to stay here.
No.
Sorry.
The Gods Made Me Do It, Book 13. Wow. By Lisa Oliver, narrated by little Kevy Earlywine.
I'm going to have to use that one, won't you? Jody, look, The Gods Made Me Do It. Pretty good excuse.
Oh, yeah, that'll go real well.
Yeah, sure, she'd love that one. The Vampire's Werewolf Bodyguard by Tavia Lark, narrated by Kurt Graves. After that, we had...
The Geography of Happiness. Okay. Mackenzie Country, Book 4 by J. Hogan. Oh, my goodness. Narrated by Gary Furlong. After
that, we had Emperor's Wrath, Emperor's Assassin, Book 2 by Kai Butler, narrated by Michael Fiddle. Then we had
X Marks the Spot by Kit Berry, narrated by Greg Boudreau.
You said Tremblay wrong.
No, I did not.
After that, we had Herald of the Witch's Mark, Rowan Blood, Book 3 by Kellen Graves, narrated by Christian Leatherman. I actually carry a Leatherman.
No.
Then we had
The Influencer, the Manhandled series, Book 4 by August Jones, narrated by Theo Sinclair and Nick J. Russo.
Was he on The Cosby Show?
No.
Then we had Homo for
I didn't even know he did this one.
Homo for the Holidays.
You can't even say it without laughing.
I'm going to hell. By Matthew Cooper, narrated by Declan Winters. And after that, we had
Beyond Reason, Beyond Book 2 by Lee McCormick, narrated by Zachary
Zaba. After that, we had The Face of the Wicked by J.K. Jones, narrated by Don DeLion. After that,
Transparent is a Color.
No, it's not.
Oh, okay. By Kaji Harper, narrated by J.F. Harding.
And finally, what we've all been waiting for, what little Lissa Gramling read this week.
Yes, I read this week.
I'm going to flip this over, listen to your review, and I promise I won't say a thing.
Yeah, right. All right, Claimed by the Orc Lord by Lee McCormick. 5 bullets. Book 2 of the Orc Mate Selection. And this one, yeah, like I said, this one was by Lee McCormick. It's like a 3-book series with 3 different authors. They told me it was going to be fluffy, like the first one. I didn't see anything fluffy about it. Kai, one of the main characters, is the best friend of Rain from the first book, who got portaled out of the United States or wherever they were from. And Nash is the orc whose brother was from the first one, and who is an orc lord of his own tribe, who are like nomads, and they just wander from place to place. So Kai goes looking for his best friend, ends up in the same portal, but in a different location. And Kai is the straight best friend.
Of course.
But quickly realizes he isn't so straight after spending time with Nash.
Did he have to get rid of his doghouse?
No, he didn't have one.
Apparently not, yeah.
That explains it. No, I love Lee's writing, and I just love this book, and I highly recommend the series.
Are orcs well endowed? I would.
Apparently.
Yeah, well endowed and greenish, and I wonder how that works too. I mean, because a lot of, like, I'm a white guy, but it's like, you know, it's like a different color. It's like always tan down there. So I wonder if like green gets to like, you know, like the dark green kind of, you know, maybe even like a black kind of.
I think they did describe it. So it probably, I think it was green.
Yeah, I mean, it's got. I bet you
it's very big.
I bet you it's a darker green. I'm not sure how that works. Anyways, thank you for putting this together. You were wonderful. Thank you for being so flexible. Apparently, you're doing your yoga. You all enjoy.
I am not flexible.
We will see you next week for another edition of What Color Is It? So have fun, y'all. See you soon. Bye.